would blame.
Good evening, Keepers of the Cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here, and joining me just like every Thursday, we got my good buddy Digger Jim. Jim, what is up with you tonight, sir?
Man, I am feeling great for the first time in a while. You know, I had some back issues going on, and I'm starting to feel better now, so I'm very happy. And I'm here tonight to see Matt's collection, so right on.
Now, what Jim said backstage is that Brother John was finally starting to carry his half of the load and eased up on his back. Those were Jim's words, not mine, Brother John.
Yeah.
You're starting shit.
Yeah.
And, of course, we have an extra co-host this evening. We got WVogs joining us. Will, how you doing tonight, sir?
Doing great. Thank you for having me, Gary. Always love watching this show. Love what you and Jim do and your other co-hosts and your guests do. And I've been a guest in the past. Hopefully I'll make it again on the show. And I've known Matt for a while. We've been friends for a few months now. And I've seen, I don't know what he's showing tonight, but I've seen a lot of his collection. And I think people are going to be very excited.
Nice. And, of course,
Right
the man of the hour, we have Matt.
Hello.
Heroes for Hire Comic Club. How you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm doing good. I hope all the true believers are doing good. I always like to quote Stan Lee. Remember on the old cartoons, he'd be like, "Good morning, true believers."
Oh, yeah.
I know, I love that.
Now, Matt, the way we like to start this show, give a quick 2 minutes who you are, what your channel's about, where people can find you. Then we'll go say hi to the audience, and then we'll come back and we'll start you on your first book.
Okay, I'm Matt. Heroes for Hire Comic Club is the name of my channel. I do comic book reviews, although I haven't done a lot in a while because I've kind of slowed down on the new comic books. But I also like do haul videos and unboxings, and then I do have a show on Sunday called the Sunday Super Show Extravaganza, because I mean, why wouldn't you use the word extravaganza in a sentence? It's just a great word. And so 6 p.m. Eastern, we do that show, and I do comic book day previews. We have another segment. We do Matt's variants of the week, so we pick 10 variants coming out that week, and then we do the Hot 20, the Trending 20 from the Key Collector app, and the Hot 10, and then we have another segment called Out of Context Panels of the Week, where we talk about an out of context panel. You just take a single panel from the past, and you know, a lot of them can be taken out of context, especially if it's like a Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen or an Archie comic. Archie comics has to be the most out of context panels I've ever seen. And then I have a new show in the works. My friend, the crazy Hungarian, his name's Joe. He's got a YouTube channel. Shout out to him. And it's going to be called Matt and Joe's Bad Cinema. And we do a review of a bad movie every week. And the first movie we're going to do is called Hard Ticket to Hawaii, an Andy Sedaris TNA classic. You know, playmates, explosions, giant fake rubber snake. What else do you need? Right. But as far as me, I read and collected when I was a kid. I still have some of my childhood comics, although they're not in the great shape, because what was a bag and board? I didn't know what that was until I was 18 or something.
Right.
But then I kept until I discovered girls, and then I kind of quit for a while, and I got back into it. And then I had my collection was stolen, probably sold for a couple of pills by some drug addicts, I'm sure. But you know, that happens to everybody. Has a problem like that. But then my uncle Ray died, and my stepdad got his collection, and I was just like, he kept it, didn't know what to do with it, right? And then he passed, and it went to my mom. So when a few years ago, when I got sick, I moved in with my mom, and well, she was widowed, so I kind of felt like she didn't need to be alone anyway, and I didn't need to be alone, so helped each other out. But she said, I got all this stuff in the basement, and I hadn't really looked at it. I knew he collected because he was a colorist for a comic book company.
Oh, nice.
And I went down there. He had all the hardcover box sets of every EC comic.
Wow.
He had another EC like big book. It was like a commemorative book signed by Bill Gaines. And had all this stuff. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of like Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He had every run of it. He had all the Dave Stevens covers you could think of.
Well, the Cataracts and Dinosaurs weren't for a while.
Had 2 heavy metal number 1s.
Oof.
Now they weren't mine technically, so I kept a few, but then I kind of ran into some problems, had to sell them. But I got back in it made me get back. I was just like, I'm just going to do it for her. I don't really care anymore about this. But then the more I looked at all this stuff, I fell in love with it. I made a lot of mistakes starting out selling it. Like I sold Planet Comics number 1 for like $70, which is a big mistake. But you know, you live and you learn, right?
Right.
And, so I kept some of it. But it got me back into it. I started selling Whatnot. And then I realized that selling Whatnot sucks if you're a little guy. So I quit doing that. And I sold to a guy named Cheap Comic Collector one day. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a YouTube channel. And I was still watching the comic book content on YouTube. And I was like, I saw his name. I said, I think that guy bought some books from me. So they're having a live stream. So I typed in, I said, did you buy some books from me on Whatnot? He said, yes, I did. Here they are. And I thought I was a celebrity. I said, hey, Mom, look, my comics are on YouTube. And but I watched, like, start out, you know, like we all do, I guess, we discovered Comic Time, Jim Ent. And then I started getting into the more, then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I kept making excuses. And I started a YouTube channel. And I started doing claim sales. Actually, I'll probably have a claim sale Sunday, actually. I don't know what time yet, but, you know, stay tuned if you don't follow me or subscribe to me. If you do subscribe to me, then, you know, just stay tuned for that. There'll be an announcement. And I haven't looked back. I just love it. I'm back in it. And I was in a deep depression. I'm disabled. I have muscular dystrophy. I have what's called Becker muscular dystrophy. It's the least bad kind. I don't know how to say it. It's not as bad as there's another one called which you're in a wheelchair by the time you're 14. That's it. You're not, and you probably won't live to see 30 or 40. I'm 48 now. I'm still alive. I don't get around as great as I do, and I have to have like a little electric wheelchair, but it doesn't stop me when I get around. And but I was in a dark place. I didn't have a ramp built yet, and these guys built a ramp when they found out my father was a veteran. I know I'm taking the long road. I'm sorry. But I didn't leave the house for like a year and a half, so I was in a big depression, and the comic books kind of brought me out of it, and they're keeping me out of it. They're keeping me out of trouble. Because I used to be a bad boy. I ain't gonna lie, but I'm not anymore. But I was a problem child. Let's just put it that way. But the comic books actually helped pull me out of the depression and everything else. And I haven't looked back, and I don't plan to. I love this community, and it's like, you know what? I never thought I was going to get famous doing it. I'm not going to get famous doing it. I got that mentality. I've heard some people say, "Oh, don't start a YouTube channel for this and that reason." I don't care. I met people like Boggs, you guys, Mad Spidey. He just sent me a box of Australian treats, which was pretty awesome.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
You know, people like Scotty Vaughn, shout out to him and the Comic Vet and all those guys, and Cheap Comic Collector and my friend Aaron, Psychotronic Squirt Gun. And it's just great to have like-minded people, because around here, everybody does it. Like, if I talk about like Spawn or the first appearance of Rogue, or like the first time Rogue joined the X-Men, they're like, what the fuck's this guy talking about? Sorry,
yeah, deer in the headlights, huh?
Yeah.
They're just like, this guy's boring the shit out of me. But here, if I talk to you about why I love Rogue and why I like her first appearance and the issue when she joined the X-Men, or Uncanny X-Men 172 when Wolverine finally trusts her to be one of the team, then you'd be like, yeah, I know what you're talking about, man. I feel you. But out here I call the normies, they don't know what we're talking about. But I don't want to be normal. Normal's just a setting on a washing machine. That's the paraphrase my story. So
it's crazy. She's such a hero now, and she started out as a villain.
I know. And she was a badass villain too.
Yeah.
And
I remember
that's foreshadowing. I talked about Rogue. That's foreshadowing when I showed.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks, Matt. I also
Well, let's go say hi to our audience. We have first in, as always, we have Las Cruces. James, good evening, sir. Awesome to see you as always. It's not a live show until you see Las Cruces. We have Brad Wellbore. How you doing tonight, Brad? Great to see you, sir.
Brad.
We have Jerry the Jitterbug, one of my all-time favorite people. How you doing tonight, Jerry? I was just texting him earlier. Heroes for Hire. Matt is out there saying hi to everybody as he's in the seat right there. We have Ruby G, another great person in our community. Good evening, Cowabunga, Ruby G. Calm, cool, collected. John Stout. Good evening, sir. Great to see you, man. And We have Jim saying hi to everybody. We have Dope Comics joining, and Dope's got a horror 1011 coming up, so make sure you stay tuned for that, guys.
Oh,
If you guys know Dope, you know he's got plenty of horror. We have Mr. DVH, another great horror collector there, and a wrestling collector. Good evening, DVH. Another one of my all-time favorite people. Anachronic Comics. Joe, how you doing tonight, sir? All right. As we get down, we have Random Reads. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We have Kenneth Bird. Good evening, Kenneth. Great to see you, sir.
Birdman.
Right. We have Rich, Comic Cap Collectibles in. Good evening, Rich. Great to see you, buddy. Thank you for joining us this evening. And we got Vogs saying hello. All right. We are caught up with the chat for the moment. I know I've gotten very efficient at that because I'm so used to it now. But as people pop in, I will give them a quick nod of the hat, tip of the hat. But we're here tonight for you, Matt. This is your show. So why don't you start us out? And Ice Fishing Enthusiast, good evening, sir. Start us out with your first book, sir.
Yeah, my 10 favorites. Okay, we'll start out. We were talking about the community being great. Well, when I mentioned the story about my apartment being broken into, I was on a stream of on Mad Spidey's Outback, and Austin LeMay was there. He said, "You don't have Spawn #1 anymore?" He said, "Well, I gotta send you one." And not only did he send me a Spawn 1, but he sent me one signed by Todd McFarlane.
Oh my god!
Oh, nice.
So, thanks to Austin again for that. That's just what a great guy.
Oh, he's a great community member. He's everywhere supporting everybody.
And he's a good artist.
He's great.
And though he's one of my favorite artists, and I didn't get to meet him, I wish I had before he died. And I don't know what number issue this is. I really don't get it out of the bag a lot because I'm going to get it graded and get the autograph, the signature authenticated, but signed by George Perez.
Oh, nice. Now, is this your #2 or was it?
Well, they're not in really no order. We'll just say #2.
Oh, okay, that's all right. All right, so
order. I'm sorry. I just got the ones that weren't graded out first.
Oh no, you're fine. All right, so with you had the Spawn signed by Todd McFarlane. You were talking earlier that that you had the Spider-Man issues with him. Was that when you like, oh, who's this guy, and he just became one of your favorites from there?
Yeah, well, what's funny about that is like actually it's one of the ones I'm getting graded. I remember going to the 7-Eleven when I was a kid with my allowance, and I bought ASM 322 off the rack. I didn't know it was Todd McFarlane until later.
Yeah.
And but like then I said so interesting story that I found out there was 2 parts of the book I'd read, like 321 and 320 were the beginning of this storyline.
Yeah.
It's called Assassination
Plot, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I had to get Mom to get in the back of the Marvel comic back issues in the back of the comic and order me 320 and 321.
Oh, what a nice mom.
And she ordered them because she loved me, only child. So I kind of got spoiled.
Nice.
And, so then I bought 323, and that one's off at CGC right now. That's why they won't be here tonight, unfortunately, along with a lot of my Wolverine books, because I sent Wolverine 1, 8, and 10 to be graded with that.
Some good books.
But but then when you look back and you get older, I realized who Todd McFarlane was. And obviously, Todd McFarlane was great at self-promotion. So I did discover who Todd McFarlane was, and then discovered that he was the one that wrote the ASM that I loved. When I found out there's this guy, Spawn guy, and he's got this animated show. I think everybody was introduced to Todd mostly from the HBO's animated series because he narrated every episode.
Then I started collecting Spawn,
and I discovered this guy. You know what I mean? And then I realized he was the guy that drew ASM. And then when I look back at like G.I. Joe, which will be another thing that'll come up tonight, I realized it was Larry Hama and Mike Zeck. And then I discovered Mike Zeck drew all the Punisher and Captain America comics that I loved as a kid.
Oh, Mike Zeck's amazing. He doesn't get enough credit.
And I don't think he gets enough credit. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves, if you want to be honest. And
he's got a great signature too.
Yeah. I wish I could get it, but he doesn't really do any cons anymore. Maybe I'll have to buy one already signed. I guess he lives in.
Now, is that your first Todd sig?
Yeah.
Nice. And what a great way to get it through the community, right?
I know. Isn't it amazing? Because it would cost like $125 to get it signed in person, and you would have to fight like 50 people off in line. But then I got one of my favorite other artists. I didn't know who he was at first either, but I remember reading I remember getting a Teen Titans anti-drug issue at my grade, right?
Yeah,
George
100%.
Perez, and I still have it somewhere. It's not in great shape, but it made me go and get like the old Teen Titans. And I guess I was attracted to his style, even though I didn't know it, because I started reading the Wonder Woman from '87. And I didn't realize it was George Perez. So later, I guess I wasn't one of those people that paid a lot of attention to the details. That's really not my thing.
Right.
Now, what book is that George Perez one?
It's like an Avengers. I want to say it's
from the run he did with Kurt Busiek. Now, I do not know what number it is. I could find out if you want.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's such a
I
great
want to
cover.
say
I
it's like
never
a
actually
mid.
saw that cover before.
Yeah, I think it's like. I want to say it's like 20, maybe. I don't know. Now, you purchased that with the signature, or did?
Yeah, I never met him.
Yeah, I didn't either. I missed that.
I bought this. It doesn't have a verification, but I looked it up before I bought it, and he signs his art differently than he would sign.
Sure.
So
sure.
I looked it up. It looks just like it. I mean, it could be forged. But I mean, I guess I'll find out. I'll let you know.
Oh, there we go. Thank you very much, Comic Book History. Avengers 24.
Yeah, I knew it was in the mid-20s. I just couldn't remember where it was. Right on.
Shout out to Comic Book History for getting that out there for us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Comic Book History. Next one up, I will say number 3, but they're really not in any particular order. I'm sorry, I should have ranked them.
No, they don't have to be. This is just we're just going through what you love, so we just want to hear about it.
We'll have one of the main things we will have in common is one of our favorite X-Men is Rogue. My top favorite X-Men is Wolverine, but my other one is Rogue. They're kind of tied for first to me. And this is Uncanny X-Men 171, and this is when she joins the X-Men.
That's one of my ground books this year.
She's a baddie in more than one way. She was a very bad girl, and she's bad, as we used to say in the 80s. And but you can tell here the Avengers weren't too happy about her joining at the time because she'd kicked their ass quite a few times. And but yeah, so this one's number 3.
And I like too, like with Rogue, like you wouldn't think by looking at her character design there, like in her second appearance in ROM, and you wouldn't think that would be a character that would eventually pop. Yeah. But once you had once you got other artists on her, like Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri and stuff like that, all of a sudden it was a whole new look for Rogue, and she popped.
She was very butch in the beginning there.
Her character and another character that will come up tonight a lot, Wolverine. I think we can credit their process. Also Frank Miller with Wolverine. But Claremont was good at building these people up,
right?
Telling their backstory, having this character develop from where they came. Like Wolverine was just a kill crazy a-hole that nobody liked. And to see his development, Chris Claremont didn't try to develop and write. He was still mysterious.
Right.
And he worked a lot with people like Frank Miller and other people that really kind of solidified the character we know today. Claremont did this with Rogue too. He did it with several characters. And it hasn't been with Claremont. I think we can arguably say, I don't know if it's arguably or not, but probably one of the greatest writing runs of any writer in history.
He's the most important X-Men writer, I think, ever.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's really too debatable, besides the Stanley introduction of what the team is and the concept. But and I'm the oddball. I prefer John Buscema's Wolverine to Frank Miller's.
Yeah.
Well, I think Frank Miller's was good for that 4-part series, and it came out at the right time, probably at the height of when he was, he did his Daredevil run was the same way. I mean, there's some people that loved it or hated it.
What drew you to Rogue as a character?
Well, she's kind of cute.
Was there a story though that really blew you away with her? Where you're like,
oh yes, I could grab that book too if I need to, but hold on. I'll just do this because I guess I'm breaking the rules already. Sorry, but
we're gonna call that the Joe clause. The Joe clause. And I broke it numerous times when I did the 10-1-1. It's a 10-1-50. It doesn't matter.
Or you can call it the full Joe, whatever you
instead of the full Monty.
The full Joe.
Well, watch me not.
It doesn't. Now. Yeah. Well, I can't help you with there. I just pulled out 50,000 books that I knew I was going to want to show. That way.
And I remember disliking Rogue so much in ROM because like I just wanted Rom to whoop her butt.
Yeah.
This is issue 173. The significance of this one in why I started liking Rogue was like because I loved Wolverine.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know anything about this storyline, in the issue before this is 71. That's when she just joined. So they obviously, as you can tell, didn't trust her very much, right?
Right.
Well, in the next issue after this, 172, Wolverine invites them all. Logan invites them all to Japan. He's getting married, and then he finds out the Silver Samurai. Is it the Silver Samurai? I think he kidnaps all the X-Men except for Rogue. And so Wolverine has no choice but to trust her to go help. So it's just him and Rogue against all these bad guys. They go in there, and then Wolverine's about to die, and she saves him. And this is the first time that Wolverine actually started trusting her.
And I think in that issue too, isn't in that issue the first time Jubilee puts on her new costume with like the jacket and stuff too?
I don't think Jubilee was around at this time.
I had that Jubilee issue. I had that one too. I have to read it again.
I'm pretty sure Jubilee wasn't around for this one.
Yeah, because that's not until like 210 or something.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
This is 173, but this is just like when he starts trusting her, and she started becoming more of a trusted. And her and Wolverine became pretty close. So I started liking her a lot. It was like, I was like, why did they let her join the damn team? But I just like it. I don't know why. It's just I can't explain it, but there you go.
And I like Anna Paquin as an actress, but man, they did nothing with Rogue in those movies.
No, I still think Maggie from The Walking Dead should be Rogue in the movie. All right. But okay, you ready for the next one?
Yep.
Well, it's funny we keep talking about Wolverine because the next one is a Wolverine book. The rest of them here are graded, and it's only a 7.0, but I don't care. I just wanted it. It's Wolverine.
The grades don't matter. The importance of the book to you matters.
I was told by a man named Rob Fatstacks, and from Cliff on Comics that you should chase the book, not the grade.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly.
And it's of course, I act like I'm on only slabs here, but I'm not. First solo Wolverine story. Of course, Claremont, and of course, Frank Miller. Interesting thing about this one to me, and also I kind of like the ad for the movie, the lame-ass Megaforce movie with Barry Bostwick on the back, but
that looks great.
It's really great cheese. It's like 80s cheese.
100%.
Right.
It's like I read a story about or an interview with Claremont. He said that him and Frank Miller were riding back from San Diego Comic Con back in the early 80s, and he's like, he told Frank, they want me to do a Wolverine series, a miniseries. Would you like to do the art for it? And he says, I really don't want to do it. He said, Wolverine's a one-dimensional character. He's just violent. That's all he knows. He said, well, what would you do to change him? He's like, well, what if he was like a Ronin? Like a samurai that had no master. And he's like, oh, that's a great idea. And they came up with the idea that night in the car. That's what I read. I don't know if that's true. That's what Claremont says. And I think this is the first time he kind of humanized Wolverine.
Right.
The first attempt at Wolverine, where it's solo, the first, you remember, I don't know what issue it is, but it's the one where it's the first like solo story in Uncanny X-Men about him. Mm-hmm. He just demolishes all these guys. And it's like when you hear I'm the best at what I do, that's when you realize what he does is not very nice. But
that's in the Hellfire Club one, I think, is what you're talking
Hellfire
about.
issue.
Yeah, where he just kills all those guys.
Well, if he's going to have longevity, you have to make him more than just a little ball of rage.
And they slowly, unraveled his mystique. Because at this time, he still was very mysterious. Like, how did he get the claws? Where did he come from? He didn't even quite know. He was kind of a loner. He was an a-hole. I mean, let's admit it, he's an a-hole. But when the shit hits the fan, I'm sorry, I keep cussing. But
well, you can cuss on here. It's an adult show. You're okay.
When the shit hits the fan, you can count on it. Like he
you want him in your corner.
Yeah.
You want this kind of guy. You don't want him against you. That's for sure.
Right.
And I like the cover. I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about Frank now, but he's getting
that's a great cover. Like, I have no problem with the covers, like Frank's Wolverine and his Daredevil.
And that just sums up the attitude of him. Like, he's like, come get it.
Come here. Yeah.
And,
Well, the only reason I said about John Buscema is he's just one of my all-time favorite artists.
yeah, that's what made him. I heard somebody comic book history said what made him great. Was he had this air of mystery to him, and like, how did he get to be who he is? He
Right,
didn't
and I
really-
remember too back in the day when you learned his name was Logan, it was such a big deal
Yeah.
Yeah,
because he didn't even have a name forever. And then once you heard Logan, you're like, oh wow, we got a name.
and then like also then it kind of like Barry Windsor Smith kind of unraveled in Weapon X quite a bit of his backstory of how he got the claws, how he got the adamantium, because we didn't quite know. But yeah, and he came up with the whole Weapon X thing. So that's number, I guess we'll say 3.
What number are we on, Gary?
Next one is
that
the
was
one.
4. Now we're going to 5.
Okay.
I make notes all the time.
Okay. And Vogs, me and him both have this one, and means a lot to me because we just talked about her not long ago. Although I guess the cover's not as great as it could be, but it's Avengers Annual number 10.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite issues, and not even for Rogue, for Captain Marvel and Spider Woman when Spider Woman saves Carol Danvers in the beginning,
Right.
just amazing.
Yeah,
And
Austin.
this kind of shows you her power set. She comes here and beats the crap out of every Avenger, every X-Men.
Right.
So I guess they kind of didn't like her a little bit, but she whooped their hind end. And you get the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants in it, and a young girl makes her appearance in it, although she's not the same one, but it's Maddie Pryor, of course.
And now that he's bringing it up too, like a lot of people don't like this cover. I love this cover.
It is a busy cover. It's a lot going on, but
I love it.
I would want to
Milgram
see
cover too.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see it every issue, but it has its place, and there's sometimes where you need to tell the story outside of it. I don't know how many paneled type books they have like that, but this one's definitely up there as a classic.
Yeah.
And did anybody ever win the BMX bike or the 10 speed? I wonder.
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever won that damn thing.
So actually, Austin LeMay, funny stories, Matt brings it up. When we were on Matt's Bodies also says, do you have Rogue's first appearance? I said, no. And he's like, okay, message me. I message him. He's like, okay, I have them graded. I'm like, dude, I don't need a graded one because I have a Rogue PC. And he's like, dude, just let me send you something. He sends me a 7.0.
Nice.
It's
a good book, and it's just a fun book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an Al Milgram cover. It says,
yep.
And
I got my reader copy, I got the facsimile, and I got a graded one.
I watched an interview with Todd McFarlane. He said this is one of his favorite books of all time. So, he said,
and I like the way that they eventually brought Rogue and Carol back together and making amends, especially in the last Kelly Thompson run, that 50 issues. They had a great storyline that featured Rogue and Carol.
Okay, what are we up to? 6?
Yep, number 6.
Well, the next one.
So Jim, to your point though, I think those type of covers work on annuals because of the nature of annuals.
Right. Oh wow!
Oh, nice.
DC
Batman
now.
404 signed by Frank Miller.
Nice.
Although he didn't do any favors by signing it with a
black
pen. Sharpie under the black straight dress, but it's still signed by Frank Miller. It's part 1 of Batman Year 1, and it's David Mazzucchelli. Is that how you say his name? I probably screwed it up. Sorry.
Oh, David Michelini.
Well,
yeah.
And I just, and I like David Michelini's work on Spider-Man too. I thought he was an underrated Spider-Man writer.
Yeah. And I remember this book as a kid. This is one of the first graded comics I bought when I started buying comics again. Mainly because Frank Miller signed it, but this is probably one of my favorite, if not, well, except for Dark Knight Returns and The Killing Joke, this is probably my favorite Batman story. And we get I think this is in my opinion, the definitive origin story of Bruce Wayne as Batman. Right. Even though I know it'd been around for years, but to me, this right here just solidified it. And actually, the animated movie they made of this series was pretty good too. But
even when that series came out, though, it kind of reinvigorated Batman again.
Yeah, but
it's like all these titular heroes, they all have their story arcs, which keep bringing the fans back over and over again.
All right, let's move right along. I guess I'll kind of get stuck on. Speaking of the Todd Father, another one. I think it's the last issue he did. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Amazing Spider-Man.
He's saying Dave Musichelli.
Yeah, it was Musichelli.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
I had the wrong guy. I was thinking of Michelini.
Yeah, no.
that's gorgeous.
Thank you, Brad. We appreciate that.
And I got this one thanks to Cliff on Comics. Taught me how to find cheap slabs. So I got this one for $40 or something.
Yeah, the Nut Punch cover.
At my comic shop, he's always talking. He finds deals at my comic shop.
Yeah,
There's
he
tons
showed me how to do
deals
the
there.
filter.
There are good deals. I've looked myself. So
I don't know why it was only 40. It should have been about 80. But whatever. I'll take it. I'm not going to complain about it. It's a 9.4. Pretty high grade. I know everybody wants 9.8s, but you can't always get a 9.8. So,
There's nothing wrong with the 9.4.
Yeah.
And it's great buying anything like 9.0 and above. It's crazy how a 9.8 can be hundreds and hundreds of dollars over a 9.6. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it's weird. But I'm working on a display. They're all kind of stacked up right now. I should have the bags on them, but I don't. I'm going to get them put on the wall eventually. I have some put on the cabinet behind me, but I pulled them off because I was doing your show tonight.
See, now they're doing all those McFarlane figures now. And they should really do a McFarlane, the Nut Punch cover one.
That would be cool. I have the ASM 323 statue, Hulk 340, and Hulk 345 statue, and I hope to get the Secret Wars one.
Nice.
But now we go into, well, you can see from my hat and the shield behind me. Another one of my favorite characters is Captain America, so I hope everybody's ready for some Captain America.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite still raised artists of all time is Jim Steranko. And this is Captain America 110.
Oh, nice.
I was really happy to get this one. I've been wanting it for a while. I got it about 3 months ago. It is the first appearance of Madam Hydra. And of course,
and just a great cover.
Yeah.
And look at the contrast. You got the yellow background. You got Hulk with green and purple pants. You got Bucky, it's actually Rick Jones Bucky, running. I guess he's trying to lead him towards him or something. You got Cap ready to. I don't know why the Hulk's so pissed at him, but
you got Cap telling Bucky, "Don't do me any favors, dude."
The only thing about that cover, and it's interesting because some people will draw the Hulk, and he doesn't look that big, and then look at how big he is compared to them, and Hulk in theory, I think, is supposed to be a fairly large, dude. So that makes more sense.
Oh, you're in trouble here, Matt.
I thought I did show it to him. I've showed it to everybody that would listen to me. But yeah, and what's the great thing about this, Jim, is Steranko knew that he drew him. He was good at drawing because he drew him very imposing.
Right.
You could tell this guy could rip these two people apart, and it wouldn't be much.
But with the way he did the yellow and green around them really shows the rage, and especially the shadow work.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Steranko was great at that. Steranko was also great at just having it pop out the page,
Right.
So next up, since we're talking about Jim Steranko, I got a good deal on this one, so I went and got it. Although it's off-white pages, but I don't care. It's still a
Is it
glorious
a Nick
cover.
Fury book?
It's Captain America 111.
Oh, there you go, baby.
And you get the psychedelic kind of look that Steranko's kind of known for.
That's probably my favorite Captain America Steranko cover right there.
Yeah, it's one. It's glorious. I kind of sleep with this one at night like this. I'm just kidding.
Hug it and love it and keep it warm.
It's like if I was the show, Jim's right. And if I was somebody who's like, what is sum up Captain America in one cover, I would show you this one.
Yeah.
It's just
it's just an iconic pose for him too.
Yeah.
Right.
Holding his arm up with a shield. Yeah, it's just amazing. And I guess last but definitely not least, sticking with the same theme, except this is a Mike Zeck cover. This is Captain America 275. This is the first appearance of the second Baron Zemo.
Oh,
nice.
There you go. I love those action ones.
Zeck was always good at showing Cap in action.
Mm-hmm.
He's deflecting the bullets. It's just
And the
I don't
shield's
know.
in great proportion to Cap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something to behold. Just and Zek was good. I mean, I don't know. He was just one of the best in the game. I don't care what anybody says. I think he doesn't get enough love.
Well, Zek's one of those guys who could just draw every character well. Like,
Yeah.
and there's a few of those artists out there, like George Perez, but if you put him on something, it was good.
Right. Like, I love John Byrne, but John Byrne, I struggle with looking at John Byrne's children. Like, when he draws children, it looks like they're midgets.
He did one. There's a panel I used on my out of context panels of the week, and it's got Scarlet Witch's children in the tub, and they look like two little midgets.
Yeah, yeah,
they do.
They just
really
to me he never did children well, and it's okay. It just humanizes them and means that he's like any other artist. He's always
some of them can't draw feet. Some of them can't draw kids.
Right.
But there you go.
That's a beautiful cover.
All right, that's the 10.
All right, so why don't we do your spec pick first, and then we'll end it with your personal story.
Okay. Well, I'm not really a speculator, so I had to dig deep to find something to spec on. So I got Extreme Venomverse number 5. We got Venomized Jeff the Land Shark on the cover. It looks like, is he getting ready to hit him with a spike bat? And you got Kaiju Venomized looking Godzilla in the background. So, but yeah, it's Jeff. So there you go.
Well, you know what that reminds me of, right? That's the Colossus Wolverine pitch, except reinterpreted.
Yeah.
That's the fastball special.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this backstage. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a Jeff fan, but you guys are absolutely right. I mean, if a plushie comes out,
it's all over.
Then for sure it's going to go through the roof, because somebody will make a cartoon, or it's going to happen.
I could have showed you my Mark Spears book. I guess would have been a good one, but I just picked this one.
And again, I thought they did a good job with most of the Godzilla covers too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Godzilla and the Fantastic Four. I want to get like the there's a variant. It's like a fight boxing poster.
Yeah, I've ordered that one. I'm not getting new books right now, but I still go and look at the previews and go, okay, I want that one. And I saw that one, is like, wow,
Jabberjaw over Jeff.
And I got 100%. This one. I bought this one from Sandman Mystery Comics. Shout out to him on his claim sale. So.
You've been put on notice by Bobby De La Ghetto, Jim.
Listen, Bobby, I'm a huge John Byrne fan. I love him, but man, that always freaked me out. His children always freaked me out.
Actually, the two in the bathtub I'm talking about, they look like the remember the little munchkin henchman that what's her name had on the Venture Brothers. Remember the Venture Brothers? The Monarch's wife had those two little guys.
Mm-hmm.
That were her little henchmen. They looked like them. It was kind of freaky.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. Matt Spidey knows what he's talking about. Vegemite's delicious.
Bring out the Vegemite.
That's from Mad Spidey. He said
after
it.
You have Vegemite on toast, you won't want toast without Vegemite.
Well, I told him I'm going to wait and try it on Mad Spidey's Outback, and I'm going to do a toast. Although Dr. Von Hoot was very evil and tried to trick me into saying, just take a big teaspoon of it and eat it. But I was warned by Mad Spidey that no, you don't want to do that. Just a little bit will do you on some buttered toast. So
I actually put it on pretty heavy.
And I got some Tim Tams from him too, I got sick eating them. I ate so many last night. So
Tim Tams.
There you go.
Diabetes. Get that Tim Tam diabetes.
Got the diabetes.
And I cheated on the last thing, so sorry.
Oh,
I actually didn't pick just one book for the story. I picked 4.
That's okay. That's even better.
It's a connected story, though.
Yeah, there you go. There's a reason
for it. It's got a good story to it. So, you ready?
We're ready. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, first, before I show it, I'm going to tell you a little story. One of the reasons I started reading comics when I was a kid was my dad. Shout out to him. He was he's still with us, thankfully. But he was a Marine. He was a Vietnam vet. And when he was honorably discharged for the Marines, he came back home and he joined the National Guard. Retired from the National Guard after 20 years of service. But in the National Guard, if you know anything about the National Guard, every summer they go on training exercises for like 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks to another base somewhere. So they go to, like, say, Fort Bragg, Fort Benning. Maybe they'd go to Scotland sometimes. One time he went to Germany, so he went all over the place training with different army bases, and sometimes other armies, like different countries' armies. But every summer when he'd go away, of course, every army base has a PX. And back then, I don't know how it is now, but back then, every PX sold comic books.
Oh, yeah.
And he would bring back a stack of Sergeant Rock, Hot Stuff, Richie Rich.
Oh, I love Hot Stuff.
And other stuff, Star Trek, Star Wars, and G.I. Joe comics. And the reason I picked 4 of them is because I remember getting these off the newsstand when I was a kid, begging my mom at the grocery store or at the drugstore. So I got this one, and I love the toys. And the reason I got all these, and these are not the original ones. All those are gone, unfortunately. So it started out Ripcord's girlfriend had been kidnapped, and he thought Cobra had her on Cobra Island. So he ejects out of his Sky Striker and goes on Cobra Island looking for her to get answers. Well, they send Zartan out to hunt him down and stalk him, as you can see. Mm-hmm. Mike Zeck, of course, did the cover for this. And he shoots the arrow at him, but he doesn't kill him, but he hits him, knocks him out. It kind of makes him amnesiac. So then they make him think he's Zartan, the Dreadnoks do. So because Zartan sends him to him and says, just keep him busy. And then Zartan takes his identity and infiltrates G.I. Joe base as him, the pit, they call it. And then, so then you have this one, they team up in this one. There's like a whole story. It's kind of one of the side stories to start out with. So then they kind of continue with this one. Well, actually, he hadn't got off the island yet. And then when this one, they go on a rescue mission with Beachhead. This is the first appearance of Beachhead, first appearance of Wetsuit, first appearance of the Cobra Eels. And they do a mission to go, and you can see Colonel Hawk, I think is his name right there. And they go to Cobra Island on a rescue mission to get Ripcord. They rescue him, but it ends up not being Ripcord. It's Zartan pretending to be Ripcord. And then you continue with this one, which is the first appearance of Sergeant Slaughter in G.I. Joe 48. And so this is where he's infiltrated G.I. Joe headquarters. You know, he's got the 357 Magnum, looks like. Mike Zeck was always great at drawing guns. Especially. And I think he was better at drawing non-superhero characters.
Mm-hmm.
And but anyway, so he infiltrates the pit. Sergeant Slaughter's first appearance. He's the one that he's trying to impersonate Doc. So you got Doc and then him impersonating him, and Sergeant Slaughter realizes, one of them's not. He punches the one that's Zartan, and he turns into Zartan again. So and then so he saves the day. And these stories mean a lot to me. I read this, especially this issue. I read it until the cover fell off of the original one I had.
Nice.
And it's just great to have it back in. Like I said, when you're 10 years old, you don't know what a bag and board was back in the 80s.
Right.
You just want to
We
read
didn't
your
have comic
books.
shops where I'm from. The only place you bought comics was at the A&P, the Piggly Wiggly, the
7-Eleven
store, the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
That was
And
it.
you hoped you didn't get a to be continued because you didn't know if you would be able to get the
You
next
didn't know if you were going to get it again, but luckily at this time period there was a 7-Eleven by my mom's. Had a gift shop she owned in the town I still live in now, and it was like a block away. So I'd walk down there every week when I would get like allowance money or money from chores.
Yeah.
And so I managed to be able to get a lot of G.I. Joe and a lot of Transformers and a lot of Amazing Spider-Man. And Batman, but so that's it.
So those are great.
And the one thing about G.I. Joe comics is every one of them's got a first appearance.
Right?
Yeah,
One of those
They're
runs.
always introducing toys. This one's the first appearance of Quick Kick and Alpine.
Well, that Transformers too, yeah.
Yeah, this one's not got any first appearance, but this one has 3 first appearances in it, and this one has a first appearance in it. So
Now, did you collect the Special Missions series too?
yes, I don't have as many as I do with these, but I'm trying to get the whole run again. I'm trying to get 1 through 155. And the struggle's real because when you get to about 140, they get kind of expensive and kind of rare because they only
the print runs.
very low print runs. Kind of like trying to get Spawn 1 through or 100 through like 150 is kind of hard.
Yeah.
Well, great books, Matt. Thanks for coming on and sharing that stuff with us. That was fantastic.
I love anytime anybody wants me to come on and talk about comics or why I love comic books, I'm more than glad to do it.
Well, no, it was great. You were one of the people I hadn't actually met or talked to yet, so it was great to actually meet you and get to learn about you. And that's one of the reasons I like doing this show is I get to bring new people on, meet new faces. You know, some people I only see in groups and I don't get to participate a lot because I work a lot.
Yeah.
But it's nice to actually see faces and actually have conversations. Joe says, nice set of books.
Thanks, Joe.
Now, so your all-time favorite hero, though, that's Captain America.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Can't go wrong with Cap. And now I think most of us had no idea just how good Chris Evans was going to be as Cap. He was amazing. Because I remember going crazy over the old Captain America TV shows. They were horrible.
They were terrible.
TV movies. But, dude, what was it, Reb Brown or something? Or
Yeah.
something? Yeah,
And the one that had the fake ears on his mask? What the hell?
And like the shield.
the plastic shield.
So bad.
But it's all we had back then.
No, I actually enjoyed the Spider-Man more than the
Oh, the Chris
Captain America.
Hammond?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you know, because he would sit
Well,
there and
that-
like shoot it up.
They had a Captain America movie in the 90s, too. It's hard to
That's
find
what
it.
I'm talking about. He had like a mask. His mask had like fake ears on the outside of it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like painted. Yeah. Oh, just yeah.
It was just a horror. But you know what? That's what kills me these days. And I hate to get on my soapbox, but every movie that Marvel comes out with or DC comes out with is dissected to the last second. Like, oh my God, they did reshoots. Blah 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 blah. Disney's going downhill with Marvel. Blah 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 blah. Well, you know what? You people, you young whippersnappers, I feel like Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino. But I'm gonna tell you, to the young people out there, I have a message for you. In the 80s and 90s, you had to beg for scraps to get something on TV or in a movie that was related to a comic book that didn't suck.
Yeah.
And you remember the old 1970s Doctor or 80s, 70s or 80s? I can't remember the Doctor Strange TV movie.
Yeah.
Then we had Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher. It was awful, but by golly, we still loved it because it's all
I like that Punisher movie. I think that Punisher movie's underrated.
Yeah,
I thought Dolph Lundgren was a good Punisher.
It was like Frank Castle's kind of in a deep depression. The whole movie's just like.
And you're not allowed to put down anything that has Tia Carrera in it. All right, just putting that out.
I mean, you know, we struggled. We had like, and then the only thing we had in the 90s basically was X-Men the animated series and the Batman animated series.
The Spider-Man one was good too with the adult Peter Parker
too. Yeah, but then we didn't get really a decent comic book movie, I don't think, until Blade came out.
Right.
Well, yeah. Well, Blade actually was the one that reinvigorated everything. Yeah, I think when they made Blade, they were like, okay, let's see where this goes.
One more chance. Yeah.
And it went through the roof, and they were like, wow, okay.
Because a lot of people loved it. They didn't know it was a comic film. And then once they found out, they couldn't go back on liking it.
Yeah.
You could already put it out there.
But it did set the foundation because of how much money they made. Even in the second movie as well. The third movie, we won't talk about as much, but those first two.
I like the third movie too.
I don't hate it, but I'm just saying that it's not nearly. It's not as good as the second one and the first one. Not nearly. I don't think.
Looked amazing in it.
But they what that did was set the foundation for them to go, okay, maybe these comic movies can make some money for us because it's at the bottom line is the money. It's about the money. How much money can they make off of it?
And as a comic book fan, I just have to say this. I say this all the time, but I remember going to the theater the day it came out when the Avengers movie came out. I never thought in a million years that I was going to see that at a theater when I saw, because we didn't have the technology to really do something like that. And the first time, the shot when they're in New York fighting the aliens, and they do that panning shot of all of them in a little semicircle.
And the score hits.
Y'all, I had goosebumps.
I remember when the first Sam Raimi,
I thought I'd never see this.
When the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man came out, I went and saw that 4 times at the theater.
Yeah,
amazing. The Dark Knight Returns. I saw it. Went back in line, got in line again, and watched it again in the same day.
We are overlooking that. Good call out, DVH.
I mean, The Crow is I get it, but people
didn't know
Blade was a comic book person. Most of them didn't know who The Crow was either.
I didn't at the time.
And those movies actually, like Blade and The Crow, had it going for them that most of the audience that went didn't know it was comic movies, or they would have been pre-prejudiced to it.
Right. I remember X-Men coming out, 2000, and it was like right before I moved here where I live. I had to come up to give a training, and I was by myself, and I'm like, man, I'm so bored. And I realized, wait a minute, the X-Men movie is out now. I'm gonna go watch it. And I was just thrilled that I didn't even care if it sucked. I was gonna go see it.
Right?
Yeah, I was the same way. Like when you got to know she got a Fantastic Four shirt on.
Yeah,
That movie came out. I was like, I don't care if it sucks. I'm going to go see it. I even watched the Roger Corman one on the internet.
Yeah, I like the two Tim Story Fantastic Fours.
Oh,
I mean, the Galactus Cloud is stupid, but everything else about those, I thought the casting was fine.
Yeah,
Everyone hates on Jessica Alba. I thought she was good. Everyone hates on Ian Griffith as Mr. Fantastic. I thought he was great. Chiklis was great, and obviously Chris Evans killed it as Johnny Storm. He had the presence, the jokes, everything. Rocketeer is a great one.
yeah. But you know what though? I mean, Rocketeer, man, that's one that I loved watching over and over.
The Rocketeer was great. I even liked the old Billy Zane
Phantom
movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not bad either.
Oh yeah,
and let's not forget an underrated one, The Shadow with
Alec Baldwin. Yes.
Oh man,
The Shadow's
I
great.
forgot about that one.
Oh, I love The Shadow.
I wonder if that's on Tubi.
But the thing was great about the Phantom. It was like a golden age comic had come to life.
Yeah. And you know what I just watched again last week too was the Doc Savage movie.
Oh yeah.
Now that one's not great, but it's one of those movies. It's so bad, it's good.
Oh, going back to the 80s though, like two of the animated movies that probably I shouldn't have been allowed to watch when I watched them was Heavy Metal and Fire and Ice.
Oh yeah, I love both of them.
And but that was like the first time, because that was pretty cool. It was like, especially Fire and Ice, it's like a Frank Frazetta painting just came to life.
Oh yeah, him and Ralph Bakshi were a great combo.
Yeah. And
Wizards too. That movie's good as well.
Yeah.
I want to see that one. I heard it's great. I've seen previews.
Guys, great show. We're gonna go around the horn here. And we're gonna start out as we always do with my co-host Jim. Jim, what's coming up for you, sir?
I do have some books coming in, so I'll probably do a little show of that. But I'm working on putting together, and I said this the other week, but I'm still working on it. Putting together just a quick story to talk about how I found Lobo and the backstory behind it, and why he's an interesting character.
Nice. All right, and Vogs, what's coming up for you, sir?
I'm on a bunch of different streams, but for me, it's a bunch of pre-recorded videos of comics I've picked up from. There's a few LCSs near me, and some AOKs from the community.
Nice. And we always go with our guests last, so I'll tell you what's coming up for me. Because coming up next Tuesday, we have Scott Hoarder's Hide coming on for the first original art 1011.
Nice.
So he's got one of the best original art collections out there.
Yeah.
And then on the 6th, on Thursday, we have Mark Andrews coming on for a Star Trek 1011. So toys, comics, what have you, any kind of Star Trek collectible. But first coming up for me, this Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern on my channel, we have Jeff Isherwood coming on Savage Saturday Review with me and Torsten as my co-host. And if you guys aren't familiar with Jeff Isherwood, he did a lot for Doctor Strange back in the day. He worked on Conan for a long time. He worked on Suicide Squad over at DC and a couple other characters. Jeff Isherwood's been in comics business for 41 years. He just completed a 2-story arc with Jason Aaron in the new Savage Sword of Conan magazine. And we're going to have artist Jeff Isherwood live with us Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, talking Conan, Titan Comics, and what he may have coming up that's in the pipeline, both as an artist and as a storyteller. Nice. For those of you who don't know, he has written some comics too. Roy Thomas even had him write some Doctor Strange back in the day. So that is going to be that's going to be like a nerd time for me, because that's a big Conan artist from the 90s.
For sure.
And then in February, kicking off the month, we already said that with Hoarder's Hide. But we got a bunch of good stuff coming up. I still have to schedule the rest of February. I got 1 or 2 dates left in there to do, but we're gonna have a great month, and then we're going right into March. I already got a couple dates there. But for anyone who's never been on the show that wants their shot to be on the 1011, just message me in IG and I will work with you to set up a day. We do these shows Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Always looking for new faces and always looking for returning faces. This show is all about the people that come on and the love and passion they have for what they have in their collection. Now, having said that, Matt, what's coming up for you, sir?
Well, I do an interview series called Comic Conversations. If you and Digger Jim would like to come on, I got Vogs already booked. Well, I'll message you. I'm booked till April right now. I just interviewed with Comics with Bueller on Tuesday, and Friday, 8:30 p.m. tomorrow night, I will be interviewing the Great Legend Show.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. And then Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern, I have the Sunday Super Show Extravaganza. Do comic book day previews, trending comics, hot comics of the week, and we do a little thing called Out of Context Panels of the Week. Got a new show coming up. Just be looking for it next week. Matt and Joe's. It's the Crazy Hungarian. He's another YouTuber that needs to get some love, but the Crazy Hungarian. I call him Joe. Matt and Joe's Bad Cinema. We do a bad movie every week. Instead, we're going to do the movie Hard Ticket to Hawaii by Andy Sedaris.
And I kind of want to go watch that.
You need to go watch it.
Can I make a request on behalf of me and DVH?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Hell Comes to Frog Town.
You can.
Got it.
We're going to review that one soon. We got
that
a lot
is such a great film.
Movies you can do though. You know what I mean?
I love Hell Comes
Hawaii,
to Frog
you can find it
Town.
on YouTube. Just type in Hard Ticket to Hawaii. You can find it for free on YouTube.
Okay.
And then I said the interview show, and I may have a claim sale Sunday. Not sure yet. Just stay tuned for that. But I got 266 subscribers. I'm closing in on 300. When I get to 300, I'm going to be giving away some books, and if you don't mind, I will share them.
Yeah, let me make you big though. There you
We
go.
got Black Canary, Best of the Best, #1, David Nakayama variant. Mandalorian #6 variant. The first appearance of Titan and Hulk #6. That's a variant edition. And then we have Alex Ross of Timeless variant and a Yoda #3.
Peach Momoko.
And I'm probably going to throw in West Coast Avengers #1.
Nice.
But I couldn't find it, so for now that's part of the giveaway. If anyone wants to, I don't know when it's going to be. As soon as I hit 300, we'll do a show for it.
Right on.
And you can find me on Mad Spotty's Outback on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, and on Show Us What You Got with Chris the Comic Vet. And I'm kind of on Scotty Bond's Tuesday morning show sometimes. And you can catch me on Legion's the morning show. Legion of Comics does a lot. I go on that a lot. So
yeah, you guys are always on when I'm at work.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to
at Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern every week.
I'm going to interject one thing before we jump off, guys. If whoever's still on watching, just remember tomorrow at 9 p.m. Fable is having his C3 show with Scotty and Nick and Brother Joe. Those guys are doing their they didn't get to do C3 at the time, so they're doing their C3 show at 9 p.m. So check them out. They're supposed to have some good stuff.
Nice. And Fable, one of the best people in our community.
Oh, without a doubt.
But you can't talk to Fable, you can't meet Fable and not love that dude instantly. Such a great guy.
Yep.
But with that, guys, as we like to end this thing, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate everyone in the live chat. And if you're catching us on the rewind, everyone's links are in the description below. Go follow them on their Instagrams and go subscribe to them on their YouTube channels. And as we like to end these things, keep it casual.